This dog looked into a storm drain every day, and when it was finally opened, people were shocked to see what was inside. In many countries, stray dogs are a common occurrence, but in Turkey, there was one particular stray dog that caught people's attention. In fact, it was impossible not to notice the animal. The patient dog spent his days sitting by the same storm drain and peering down into it. The dog didn't allow anyone to come close to the drain. Whenever someone tried to come near, he would growl at them. One day, the dog caught a whiff of something delicious. He followed the scent until he found himself in front of a butcher shop, watching people buy large chunks of meat. The dog was hungry, and his sad-looking face caught the attention of a young woman named Annie. The kind-hearted woman felt sorry for the dog, so she walked to the butcher to ask for any leftover bones or scraps to give to the animal. The butcher happily gave the woman what she wanted. Once outside, Annie found the dog staring at her from a distance. She approached the animal and offered him the food. She crouched down and carefully held out the food that she had gotten for him. At first, the poor dog was a bit hesitant and didn't want to get too close to the woman. But don't blame the poor animal. It's hard for stray dogs to trust humans when all they've ever seen is abuse or harm. The longer Annie held the food out to him, the less the animal could resist creeping closer to get the meal. Finally, Annie managed to gain enough of the dog's trust that he started wagging his tail and accepted the food from her. But instead of eating the food right away, the dog started walking away with it in his mouth as if he had somewhere to go. Confused about the canine's reaction, but not wanting to question it too much, Annie simply stood back up and made her way back home. The next day, Annie was walking down the street when she saw the same stray dog. The animal also seemed to recognize her and came happily toward the woman with its tail wagging. Annie smiled at the dog's enthusiasm for her and began to fuss over him. Even though the young woman was in a hurry, she still took time to get the animal a snack. Once again, the dog took the food from Annie and walked off. And as much as Annie wanted to follow him, she had to be on her way. On the third day, Annie saw the poor stray once again, but this time it looked like the dog was waiting for her. The woman had started carrying sausages in her bag in the hope that she would be able to give them to the animal. The young woman smiled as she approached the dog and excitedly handed him the treats she had been carrying. But once again, the dog didn't eat them right away and instead walked off. This time, though, when the dog turned around and walked away, Annie began to follow him to see what he was doing with the food. The dog went right above the drain and then dropped one of the sausages that Annie had just given him into the drain before eating his own. He then sat down next to the drain and stared down into it. This confused Annie. Just what was this dog trying to do? For the next few days, Annie would see the dog sitting and staring into the same drain. Every time she brought the poor dog some food, he would always drop half of the treats into the drain before eating his own share. Eventually, Annie became so curious that she decided to check for herself what was inside the drain. She tiptoed toward the storm drain, wary of the protective dog standing beside it, but the dog simply watched Annie curiously. When the young woman was directly above the drain, she looked down into it and was shocked by what she saw. She quickly took out her phone and called the fire department for immediate help. She would certainly be needing their assistance. After about 30 minutes, 2 firefighters arrived and asked Annie what was the matter. Annie explained to the men what she had seen, and they quickly got to work. The men approached the storm drain, but at that moment, the protective stray dog started growling at them. Worried about getting bitten, the firefighters stopped, unsure of what to do. Luckily, Annie came to the rescue. She approached the dog cautiously, assuring the animal that the men meant no harm. She offered a treat to the dog, and when the animal finally came closer to take it, she held on to him to keep him away from the drain and the firefighters. With the stray dog out of the way, the firefighters began to open the storm drain. They examined the inside of the sewer hole with special cameras. As the drain was located in the middle of a busy street, a crowd had gathered to see what was happening. After a few nerve-wracking minutes, the firefighters finally revealed what the stray dog had been so focused on inside the drain all those days. In one of the firefighters' arms was a kitten. The bystanders were shocked, but their surprise didn't end there. The firefighters went back into the storm drain 4 more times, each time coming up with another kitten in their arms. Annie was shocked by what she was witnessing. Although she had seen something down there when she looked inside, she had no idea that 5 adorable kittens were trapped. At that moment, the stray dog managed to wiggle out of Annie's arms and ran toward the firefighters holding the kittens. As soon as the dog saw the small kittens, he gave them a good sniff, and his tail wouldn't stop wagging. He also let out a few friendly barks at the firefighters. Annie was convinced he was saying, "Thank you." Annie walked over to the firefighters and asked them how such young kittens ended up in the drain. The firemen told her that it was likely the kittens were washed into the drain due to heavy rainfall a few weeks ago. However, they were unsure how the kittens could have survived, considering that they had been trapped and didn't have any food. This was when Annie looked over at the stray dog. She knew that it was thanks to him sharing his food every day that the kittens were able to survive. After observing the dog's kind and selfless behavior, Annie made up her mind about what she wanted to do next. She told the firefighters that she would take the kittens home and care for them until they were ready to find new, loving homes. The firemen agreed and gave the kittens to the young woman. As Annie was walking home, she turned around to the dog and said, "Come on, Benny, it's time to go home." Annie adopted Benny the dog, along with one of the kittens. As for the 4 remaining felines, she found them forever homes. Everyone lived happily ever after. This story is a reminder that even the most unassuming and seemingly insignificant creatures can possess extraordinary kindness and bravery. Benny the stray dog showed that even though he was homeless and had no one to care for him, he still found a way to help others. His act of kindness toward the trapped kittens warmed the hearts of many and inspired Annie to open her home to him and one of the rescued kittens. In a world where it's easy to turn a blind eye to those in need, Benny's story reminds us that even the smallest act of kindness can make a significant impact. People who have worked with animals for years know that they can do wonderful things. Many people have been moved by their actions and kindness. Don't ever underestimate them, as they are smarter than you think. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you have an animal companion in your life? Share your own experience and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos.